As I told you 2 weeks ago, one of my favorite chapters is maintenance. My dad used to be in charge of manufacturing at a General Motors facility in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And as so, one of the areas that reported to him was maintenance. And one time, one of the other staff managers came up and said, "Geez, Ron, every time I see your maintenance guys, they're in the break room. Every single time I see them, they're in the break room having a cup of coffee." My dad looked at him and said, "When the hell else would you see them? Other than that, they're working. If you want to catch them working, maybe you ought to go down in the basement, go into a quench tank or something where they might have been for the last 4 to 6 hours." So my dad always had a kind of a soft spot for maintenance, quite frankly. So do I. There's an old story at GM as well. It said there's 3 classes of people there. You're either hourly, salary, or your maintenance, or skilled trades, really. And what's interesting is sometimes when you're salary, it's what you are. Sometimes when you're hourly, it's what you are. But when you're skilled trades, your allegiance usually is to your skill. I'm a millwright. I'm an electrician. I'm a tool maker. I'm a tin bender. That's what I do. I knock tin. So let's talk about supplement to chapter 14, maintenance. Under the introduction on page 644, talks about the goal of maintenance is to keep the production system in good working order at minimal cost. And the number one thing is avoid production or service disruptions. That's when maintenance really gets to be important, is when something's broken down. On page 646, toward the top, preventative maintenance. The goal of preventative maintenance is to reduce the incidence of breakdowns or failures in the plant or equipment to avoid the associated cost. Those costs can include loss of output, idle workers, schedule disruptions, injuries, damage to other equipment, products or facilities, and repairs, which may involve maintenance inventories or spare parts, repair tools, and equipment and repair services. That's the goal of preventative maintenance. Preventative maintenance is periodic. It can be scheduled according to the availability of maintenance personnel and to avoid interference with operating schedules. People should be working on preventative maintenance things all the time. However, they're pulled off as things break down. But hopefully, they don't get pulled off too often. On page 647, predictive maintenance. Predictive maintenance is an attempt to determine when best to perform preventative maintenance activities. Predictive. We got about 2 weeks before this thing's really going to have problems. We got 2 weeks. Total productive maintenance, TPM, is a just-in-time approach where workers perform maintenance on the machines they operate. One of the things I've got written in the margin here is an old story from the Toyota production system, is where they had an American manager take over a plant. And he's like, "Holy mackerel, some of this equipment is like 30 years old. This is already, it has no value on the books. We got to get rid of it." Well, somebody else that had been there a while says, actually, the worst a machine should ever run is the day you get it. And everything you do to it is to make it better. So the very worst it should ever run is the day you get it. They see it as being more valuable over time because it's got all the improvements built into it. It's a little different way to think of things. On page 648, under breakdown programs, they talk about among the major approaches used to deal with breakdowns are the following: is have standby or backup equipment that can be quickly pressed into service. Ideally, you've got pieces of equipment that can do several operations. But sometimes you might, something might be so critical we're going to have another one of these. I can tell you, my wife and I have 3 vehicles just in case. Don't really need 3 vehicles, but I see that a lot of times our 3rd vehicle is helping somebody else. But standby or backup equipment. In the middle, talks about the implication is clear. Breakdown programs are most effective when they take into account the degree of importance a piece of equipment has in the operation system and the ability of the system to do without it for a period of time. A relatively few pieces of equipment will be extremely important to the functioning of the system, thereby justifying considerable effort and/or expense. Some will require moderate effort or expense, and many will justify little effort or expense. But a relatively few pieces of equipment are what are going to be critical. Toward the bottom, under replacement. When breakdowns become frequent and/or costly, the manager is faced with a trade-off decision in which costs are an important consideration. What is the cost of replacement compared with the cost of continued maintenance? It's kind of like a vehicle. All right, it's going to nickel and dime. However, what is that compared to getting a new vehicle? So usually it's more cost effective to take care of what you have than to get something new. Not always, but an awful lot of the time. Okay, that was a short one. That was just the supplement, only a few pages. And as I said, one of my favorite ones. I got a soft spot for maintenance folks anyway, so I look forward to seeing you in our next chapter. All righty. Thank you. Bye.